Coming up on Reliving Single. This week's episode is all about gossip. This trope that women are the gossips. Men absolutely gossip. What do you think?
I'm gonna say women.
You think women talk more?
Yes.
Gossip more?
Yes.
Who was the biggest gossiper?
Why do you say that?
You did the biggest service to the community.
I like that. The reframe. Thank you. Jason Lee! And the crowd goes wild.
When people think I do gossip, I'm not gossiping. I'm literally just telling the truth as I see it.
No, this is crazy. You're driving me. What? People thought, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And we all still look 25.
Some of us. Welcome back to Reliving Single, the official, unofficial Living Single Rewatch podcast. And this week's episode is all about gossip.
Yeah, gossip. Gossip. You know, it's interesting. The anthropologist, okay, I got to brag here. My little sister Maisha is actually an anthropologist.
Oh.
Yeah, she just got inducted as a fellow to the Royal Society of Anthropology. So proud of you, that kind of thing. But anthropologists actually say that gossip is a important part of the social fabric.
Of course, it is not just yapping.
No.
It's not just yapping. It's a intelligence gathering. It's how we create our tribes and our social networks.
Yeah, I love it.
Reframe.
Yeah. And I think you dig anthropology, right?
I do. I actually, most people don't know this, but the last time I dropped into college, I was studying to be an anthropologist. And I love the study of us and how we become us. And it's fascinating. And I think comedians are anthropologists.
Oh.
I think actors are anthropologists. You have to
Wow.
study the human being, the human psyche,
Yes.
the human, how we
Yes.
come. Yeah, how we
dig
come together.
in and figure that. You know, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I love it. You know, is that clippy?
I don't even know what the kids do today.
Well,
But
yeah.
So what do you think of gossip? Like, is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing?
Well, first of all, I think that if that's the case, that means the biggest gossip in your community is probably doing you a public service.
That's it.
You're doing community service. You're doing the Lord's work. We kind of met each other because you were a person who actually loved to connect people. And one of the things you do is, you tell little tidbits. And so you weren't not exactly a gossip, but I felt it was gossipy. And when you first met me on the Living Single set, when we first met, I famously told you I don't like
You
gossip.
shut me down. I was talking about someone, because it really is to me a form of connection. And I wasn't being malicious, and I
Not
don't
at all.
gossip in a malicious way. Like, what do you think of it? I mean, well, that had a little edge to it. And you stopped me. I remember where we were standing. We were walking across the lot, and you said, listen, I really like you, and I think that we're going to be working together for a while. I feel that. And I don't gossip. I just don't gossip. And I remember, and understand, you're 9 years younger than me. So here's this young girl telling me I don't gossip, and we're just not going to do that here. And I remember apologizing. I'm so sorry if I've offended you, and you're absolutely correct. And that is really not the way to be. And please, I will respect that boundary. And then within a week and a half,
A week later.
well, you were just great to chop it up with. I wanted to hear your opinion of what was going on. And
Yeah.
so I trusted you.
It's fun. It's fun to do. But frankly, that's not what we're doing. We're connecting and that type of thing. But what is the weirdest or, worst or best thing that anybody ever said about you or you read about yourself in the press?
I have a story about being in one, we used to call them the rags. There's a rag.
It's a rags.
There's, TMZ now, and,
there's all
these other
places
places.
that you can get.
I was actually in one of those rags, and maybe later in the episode, I'll tell you how I managed the lies that were in this. They were lies. How I got to, just wait.
Later, okay.
We'll talk about it later.
You're right. Okay, let's jump.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, let's do this.
Let's do this. It's time for the rewind, where we watch and relive Living Single with you.
All right. Today, we are talking about Living Single Season 1, Episode 25, A Tale of Two Tattles. Regine's gossiping. She's gossiping, and it's hitting a breaking point when it's revealed that she's been sharing Maxine Sinclair's and Khadijah's personal business with her new stand-up comedian boyfriend played by Mark Curry.
Yes, the great Mark Curry.
Yeah, there you
I love it.
go.
I've got stories about Mark Curry.
Oh, love it.
So meanwhile, Kyle gets a new cell phone and asks Overton to program it for him. What could go wrong? Now, this is really a beautiful episode for many reasons because we have special guest Mark Curry, but we have Warren Hutchinson. And Warren Hutchinson was the first Black male writer on Living Single, went on to EP, The Bernie Mac Show, Parenthood, Moesha, and Raven's Homeland. I know Warren from Stand Up in New York.
Yes.
Directed by Jim Drake, and like I said, starring Mark Curry. And we'll tell a little story about Warren Hutchinson a little bit later, too.
Oh, this is chock full of nuts.
Chock full of
Hey, you guys, guess who's back?
Hey, Tony, how's the stand-up going?
It's going really good, but I got bumped from Arsenio 3 times. They keep booking me with Richard Simmons, and you know once he skips into the audience in that little Dilla Mill dance, it's all over with. You can lose weight, too.
Oh, he is going to be big. That's why I like him.
Here we go. Regine invites her new boo, Tony, over, and he's a stand-up comedian who looks like he's about to make it big. No wonder Regine's with him. But it's played by a comedian who really did
make
make
it big.
and he had already made it big. By the time
Yes.
he's doing this episode, his show Hanging with Mr. Cooper was a success.
And this is your friend, a fellow comedian. That means you have the 411 on Mark Curry. Tell us what's going on.
Fun fact. So Mark Curry had a deal at ABC. I had a deal at NBC. He called me and said, "Hey, Kim Coles, come on and do my show. I got a show." They put a team around him and this show was being created for him. And he said, "Come on, do my show." And I was like, "I don't want to do your show. I want to do my own show." I'm thinking NBC's giving me a deal. I'm going to get my own show. "Come on and do my show, Kim." I was like, "I don't want to do your show. I'm going to get my own show." And that show was Hanging with Mr. Cooper. So I would have been on his show if I had said yes, but I held out. Nothing happened at NBC for me. It all went away. But a year later, Living
It's
Single came
important
along.
to believe in yourself.
It is.
You know what I mean? And
I was
take
like,
your shot.
I did. I was like, "I don't want to do your show. Come on, Kim. We play. We can have some fun."
Did you feel some kind of way telling your friend no? Because that's hard sometimes. Because that's not a small thing to say, "Come on, do my show."
No, I did. I felt bad, but I also felt. I think it was ego. I'll be honest, ego. I was like, "You got your show. I'm going to get my own."
For sure. You
I
did
didn't get
your own show.
my own. I got our own.
Well, I think that you got your own show that was developed for you. And you know what I mean? And I think that
in my way,
in your way. And
right.
so I think that's
And
confidence.
it was confidence, or was it ego? I don't know.
We're told to be humble and all these other things. And other people are, encouraged to have or push
Right.
and, and brag and all that. Brag, sister. That ain't
I don't
ego,
want
that's
to do
real.
your show. I want my own. And we would have had fun. And
would
I
have
don't know
fun.
which character I would have been. I would have had to, audition or whatever. It would have either been the Dawn Lewis role or the Holly Robinson Pete role.
Oh,
I don't know. Right?
Both our friends.
Both our
Brilliant.
friends. And so they were meant to have that. And I was absolutely meant to have
be
this.
good for you.
Yeah. He was a
Wow.
little mad at me, but that's okay.
Well, here he is
Here he
on your
is.
show.
Oh, that's right. There you go.
Hey, Kyle. How the hell should I know where you calling from?
Because I'm right here with my brand new, top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Kahara C1000 cellular phone.
I made it vibrate.
Since you are having so much fun with my new phone, why don't you program some numbers in it for me?
I'll take care of that as soon as Sinclair works out this knot. Over there, baby, that's the spot. Yeah. You know what I like. Oh, take me home. Take it home.
Well, Kyle has come over now. He's come over to flex his new fancy cell phone. But it's clear he has no idea how to use it. So Overton agrees to help him program his contacts.
Can you imagine?
This was the beginning of the beginning. I know. Y'all don't understand that there was a beginning
Right.
when these things became to the consumer.
Does Gen Z even understand
They
that
don't
there was a
understand.
time there was nothing? You went to the payphone that had cooties on it, and you until my generation is the and then came the push button.
That's right. And this changed
Changed our-
everything.
changed our
It's
whole
hard to
world.
imagine, but it was new technology then, and it changed our whole world.
Do you remember what it was like not to be so connected? What did we do when we were meeting friends out and we couldn't call and say, "Hey, I'm on my way"? What did we do?
You had to use a payphone.
Uh-huh.
You had to
Or
knock on
house.
people's door.
Or house phone.
Call them like, yo, man.
Yeah.
The phone really was like, if you
Yeah.
were close enough in the city, it was a whole different world. I remember just having much more time to myself, my own
Of
thoughts.
course. Of
You know,
course.
that was, wow.
It's actually a good time.
We had free range minds.
We did. Yes. I actually fought having a cell phone for a long time. Like I was not an early adopter at all.
Pre-cell phone, we had landlines, but you still had your own thoughts. You still could, do your own thing.
Right. There was no sitting on a subway and texting or watching a video. Like
No.
you read a book or you just were alone with your thoughts.
Yeah, you weren't tethered.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And I love the connection that we have, but I got to tell you, I enjoyed the time when I could just be alone with my thoughts. Now you have to choose being alone with your thoughts. Why are you laughing? You have to
it's true.
choose it. You have to choose it.
It's
Yeah.
actually, most people can't do it.
No, young folks
No.
don't.
They don't even know their own thoughts because you now regurgitating other people's thoughts. You're not ideating. That was ideation time.
Right. What did our grandmothers think? What would they? They think that we move fast, and we think that this new generation moves super, super fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was calling to say she couldn't make it to the comedy club tonight.
All right.
She also said that she was glad that Alonzo and I made up. Now, how does this fruit-shaped friend of yours even know Alonzo and I had a fight?
Because I may have mentioned it.
That's because Radio Free Regine is on the mic 24/7.
I do not gossip, all right? I merely commiserate on the human condition, okay? And if you don't like it, you don't have to use my free tickets to the comedy club tonight.
Oh, you think I'm on the take? You think you could just buy me with a couple of freebies? Well, you lucky you can.
Yeah.
Well, Regine clearly has a gossip problem,
Yep.
and she's spreading everybody's business. She told her coworker that Khadijah's fighting with her boyfriend, and she told her friends at home all the details about her coworkers. This earns her the nickname Radio Regine after Do the Right Things Radio Raheem, the great Bill Nunn.
Yes.
Who's a
yes.
sweetie pie too. And so to make up for it, she invites her friends to see her new boyfriend's comedy show.
You know what? Look.
It's how we socialize, though. Did you hear about so-and-so? I think that part of it is about making us feel better about our lives. So if we can gossip about
that part.
so-and-so having an affair or so-and-so's life not being so-and-so, did you hear that the only way they could lose weight is if they, took this pill or so
I
it's like it
agree.
makes us feel like, oh my God, my life is so much better. So I think that's also part of the lure and the love of gossip.
But does it sometimes help you learn something, important about yourself? Like
What?
something that people wouldn't say to you, but the gossip kind of find its way back?
Has that happened to you?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Well, somebody said, not somebody, who knows who, that I was difficult. Now, that comes up a lot. Because if you have strong opinions, you can be seen as difficult. If you're a woman, you can be seen as difficult.
yeah.
You can do it. So I'd heard it, but this was very specific to a show that I just did, and it came from the executives at a major studio. And they felt comfortable telling me because they were all young executives, younger than me. And they were telling me, oh, yeah, they say, and I was
So who did they hear it
horrified.
from? Who did they hear
They
it
heard
from?
it from a writer from one of the shows. That's what it turned out. And I was like, there's no way. I came in and did that gig and left. And there's no way. And I couldn't figure it out. And it haunted me a little bit, only because I can let things roll off my back. I got a strong, thick skin. But that was particularly egregious because I know who I was in that moment. You know what I mean? And there was no time for that. And also, I pride myself on being very low maintenance on set. I just like to do it. I don't even ask too many questions. If I have a question, I'll ask. If I disagree, I might say, well, whatever. But actually, I don't. I want to keep it moving. I called and asked one of the cast members, and we went through it, and finally he said, I know who it was. And then once I kind of knew and it made sense, it was just one of those things where what he had put on the page wasn't physically possible. So I said, well, show me how, and I'll do it. Just show me. Oh, no, I want to do that. I said, but I don't mind, actually. That's fine. When do it. And then from there, I think he felt like I was pushing back or didn't want to do what he said.
so
But I was
it's his
just
perception
make
of
it make sense for me, because and so it came back. It was gossip, and it came back from people who you don't want them gossiping about that.
Yeah.
Where you eat and live, you don't never shit where you eat.
Right.
Also, as a cast, we had a reputation that we were difficult, and you know that the gossip out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, well, they're not looking at the full totality. And at any one point, perhaps anyone could make that,
Well, we were called difficult because we were asking for the best of the best, or wanting to be very involved in our characters and in the the writing and the script. Like, hey, instead of this line, how about this? And so that is perceived as by someone else as being difficult. Someone else could go, oh wow, this is a really collaborative experience. So
But
yeah.
plus, we were cast to doing a lot of things. If you look at any sort of production, it has its issues. And over 5 years, you have issues, whatever.
Of course.
But I think that overall, I'm really proud that this cast, and you can see it in the work. How we banded together and show up. We had our own sort of observations, but over and over a little bit, that was a little difficult to be like, yo, man, we were one of the coolest casts you could be on. If you came on our show, you had a good time, you were respected, and we did our gig. Right. And so, yeah.
It's perception and perspective. And if you're a producer that's like, just read the lines as written, then we would be perceived as difficult.
That's that part.
Right.
And guess what?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I really like to figure out how to program more numbers into Kyle's phone, because 56 ladies' numbers just aren't going to fit.
56 ladies.
Girl, yeah. But see, most of them are just to support Kyle's Playboy delusions. Guess we'll start off with Bachelorette number 1, Phaedra. One button. Hello? Answering machine. Hello, Phaedra. This is Overton, Kyle's roommate, and I'm programming his new cellular phone. And you'll be happy to know that your phone number is the first in his new phone as well as in his heart. Oh, cool, you're home, Phaedra. Hey, I was Leslie.
Okay. While hanging with Sinclair, Overton finally programs Kyle's phone, like he promised. But in true Overton fashion, he accidentally exposes Kyle 2-time away with both of his girlfriends. Lord have mercy. What? Yeah. Come on. I mean, come on. This is foreshadowing the butt dials.
The butt
and how in millions of relationships in the future. My God, globally.
Globally, around the world.
Well, yeah, he was trying to do a good thing.
He was. And also proof that, again, I always come back to us not being dumb at all. He was brilliant. He was able to program. He's a mechanical genius.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we know how to program without even thinking about it. But back then, Overton's doing the do and messing it up.
Well, see, that's just it. And also nowadays, when you push send, sometimes you're horrified when you realize that it's to the wrong person. And that, to me, is an example of how you can tell somebody's business or your own business.
By mistake.
Accidentally. And go, oh, my God. That's happened. Now you have now they have this like vanish thing. You can pull it back.
Unsend.
You know what? I think a lot of people were having heart attacks. To this day, I actually have PTSD. Yeah, because it's happened. And it wasn't anything bad. I hate it. Yeah. So I can barely push send without feeling that checking over
like
and over.
Double check, make sure it's okay, make sure. Right.
And on an Instagram, loading up stuff, what if I put the wrong picture?
Right. And people see it right away. Yeah.
You can never pull it back.
Has it happened to you? Something?
No.
Okay.
But that's my fear. So I rarely post things without having
check and
sweat.
double check. Right.
It's like I've had a night sweat posting an Instagram. It's horrible.
Trying to be careful, very careful.
This guy, you probably seen him in Strictly Business 3. He's currently on a 10 college tour opening for Leroy and Skillet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tony Ross.
Give it up for her. Check this out. I know a woman, an attorney, ate a whole pot of free chili before she went to court. She had so much gas, the judge said, another outburst like that, and we gonna clear the courtroom now.
That sounds like what happened to you. Sounds like Regine been running her mouth.
I know a woman who get her feet waxed every other week. I can't get with that. I was looking at her feet saying, damn, Sasquatch, I thought you was wearing fur slippers. She got in the shower, looked like she had a jerry curl on her ankle.
So there's a lot going on in this scene. Let's break
For
it down.
sure.
First of all, the first person that you see on stage is the writer of this episode, Warren Hutchinson. And the reason why I really want to point this out is that we, at this time of working on Living Single, requested to have more Black men in the room. There were no Black male writers in that writer's room. And we felt that it was needed and necessary. John Hinton said, what about Warren Hutchinson? I co-signed because I had done stand-up with Warren in New York, and he was the perfect person to come in right on this show. And he wrote himself into the episode as a warm-up
episode.
Right. And it's beautiful because he's gone on to do amazing. And he's the nicest guy.
So Mark Curry as Tony.
Yes.
Is in this scene using material that Regine gave him for his act. Now, is that normal for a comedian?
Oh, comedians, of course.
Okay.
You use your life. We are observers of we are the
thieves.
We are the
Thieves.
anthropologists.
Thieves.
No, well, you're just looking at life and you're telling the stories on stage and hopefully changing the names of the innocent. But it was a straight run from her mouth to his stage.
So since you say it's okay to have the material, were you ever in someone's act and you recognize that material was you?
I didn't say it was okay. I just said that's what comedians do. I don't know that I've been in someone's act.
So you're not the source code?
I'm not the source code for someone's act, but I've used a little bit of stuff. I changed the names of the innocent.
Oh, come on, y'all. Somebody talk to me.
Why bother? We'll just talk to Tony. Eliminate the middleman.
Come on, ladies. Now, don't you think you're being a bit hard on Regine? I mean, you need to take a page from our book. Men would just laugh this whole thing off.
That's right. And when you think about it, ooh, it's really pretty funny.
Women have no sense of humor, man.
Yeah, not like us, huh, Kyle?
That's right, buddy.
Yeah, men, hell, we can laugh at anything.
I'm telling you, man, we can.
Remember that time you told me to program your phone?
Uh-huh.
Here's the kicker. I thought I was calling Phaedra. Uh-huh. And it turns out Leslie answered the phone. Man, I done dialed the wrong number by mistake. Woo.
Well, here we are. The girls are pissed and giving Regine the silent treatment. Now, Kyle shrugs it off, claiming they're just being sensitive and don't know real comedy. That is, until Overton casually mentions that he accidentally programmed Kyle's phone to blow up his side chick situation. Suddenly, Kyle's not laughing either. Now that's comedy.
Woo, come on. Now, who gossiped more, men or women?
Both. And I don't like this trope that women are the gossips. Men absolutely gossip. What do you think?
I'm gonna say women.
You think women talk more?
Yes.
Gossip more?
Yes, I do. Although I think that men get treated as if they don't.
Come on,
it depends on where they
barbershop
are.
talk, and then we have that episode that we did where we were playing cards. It was awful gossip that this man was talking about how he had sex with Regine and he had not. So sometimes it's made up gossip to make yourself look, more virile or something.
So maybe you're saying there's gossip and then there's straight lying. So, what happens?
Straight line and talking about it.
Yeah, because maybe things get conflated. Like when you just talk and shooting the breeze, is that gossip? No, that's y'all connecting
and talking,
but,
shooting the breeze.
And
I think there's a fine line between talking about something, sharing it, because we're just being social, and then there's the malicious gossip.
Yeah,
it's still malicious and mean and meant to hurt someone if they were to hear it. Certainly, yeah.
But men have a lot to gossip about. If you think about in sports, they're always talking about who's trading who, somebody's going over there. Like, I hear this, I hear that. If we look at those shows on ESPN and other places, a lot of that, what they talk about is rumors.
Right.
So let's say we say gossip, but the rumor mill is, we have a rumor that.
Right. We heard that this is happening behind the scenes. We hear that so-and-so is getting married. So it's all, I think we need it. I think that's what keeps life, I'm not saying we need it when it's negative.
No.
But I think it's, again, I go back to, it's looking at someone else's life. Your life is your life, but you're looking at someone else's life as being more interesting or more worthy of talking about, because ain't nobody talking about you.
Anyway, hey, I'm sorry.
All right, okay, we cool.
It's that I like to talk about things that are real. But you must admit the part about stuff in the prom dress was pretty funny.
You know about that? Yeah, and I never even told Regine.
Only person I ever told was... Well, I ain't tell Regine. I told Max. And it was funny. And I had to tell somebody. Dagnabbit, Regine. I told you in the strictest confidence.
Don't even try to play me like that, woman. If you didn't want me to know, you should have said it.
Hey, thank you. I'm Tony Ross. You guys been great. Drive safely.
Tony tries to make things right, but the crew quickly realizes Regine wasn't the only one leaking secrets. It turns out it's a total clatter fart. Hope you looked that up. Everybody's been sipping and spilling the tea, so they make a pact to stop gossiping, and that's for real this time.
So now we have Regine is redeemed.
Yep.
If everyone's spilling the tea, does that make Regine the leader of the gossip squad or just its loudest member?
This loudest member.
Yeah.
She was outed before, but then suddenly Tony's material starts to reveal that they have all been talking, and he's been listening to them all.
All of it.
So, maybe even they didn't know accidentally. It's all in there.
They're all guilty.
Like they are all guilty.
And are they guilty or are they just living life? This is what we do. We talk.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, gossip
right.
brings people together. You and 19, right?
Whatever it takes.
Yes.
So I'm going to cut in right now as you guys are talking about gossip. So between the living single cast, out of everybody, who was the biggest gossiper?
Why do you say that?
You did the biggest service to the community.
I like that. The reframe. Thank you.
Y'all are not gonna believe what I just heard.
Look, we not trying to hear any more of your gossip, all right?
It's about Kyle.
Okay, maybe we should consider that.
Kyle sprinkles his sheets with enough baby powder to choke a horse. Then wait a minute, y'all. The brother ironed his underwear. Wait, here's the main chorus. When Kyle reaches his romantic peak, my brother stutters.
The crew has agreed to stop gossiping, but Regine returns with some tea so good. It's too good to keep, too
good.
juicy.
Yes.
Kyle puts too much baby powder on his sheets and he stutters when he climaxes.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Well,
I love this. I love this because we're like,
Come
we're
on.
like, we just get so excited.
But gossip brings people together. There's UNITY right
Exactly,
there.
right there. We
Yeah,
just did.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. But by the way,
Great writing. by the
great
way.
writing. Yeah,
Thank
good
you,
fun.
Warren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because by the way, you got to do comedy within a comedy,
Right. Yeah.
which
yeah,
is a
it's-
whole
yeah,
nother
it's rich.
skill set.
Right.
Gossip is big business. There's a whole cottage industry devoted to gossip. And I think it has built empires.
It has
literally.
built empires and it's been going on for a long. So we know, human history has been going on long, but
Come on,
especially,
archaeologists,
right? Come on,
anthropologists.
but then there's
comedian.
also, the industry, show business. They would put two stars together, even if they weren't really together, and then create gossip around them.
They absolutely did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The-
So, and
there
then
was-
you have all the things. You have the National Enquirer, TMZ,
Page Six,
Page Six,
Star Magazine,
Star
Shade Room,
Magazine.
Reddit, People
well,
Magazine.
the thing you're talking about is the Confidential magazine. That's
Confidentials,
1950s.
yeah.
They would definitely create these larger than life personas through the gossip pages.
Right. Or even, you would get dressed up and go, grocery shopping and there would be someone there taking your picture. Look, Joan Crawford buys her own cantaloupes. And it was all part of the lore of like, see, look, the stars are just like us or they're nothing like us. Look at, Elizabeth Taylor and her 17,000 diamonds and
Come
all
on.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was and is still an industry.
Yeah, it's an industry that built Rupert Murdoch's empire.
It sure did.
And
It
if
sure
you
did.
look at certainly the National Enquirer and Page Six and Fox News Network,
Mhm.
one of the things that you'd have to sort of admit is that there was this, industry
Mhm.
of trading information.
Mhm.
And that still goes on, I guess, between if you're in media, you
To this
kind of
day.
need people to tell you things.
Listen.
That's how politics works too.
This is the story I was not going to tell, but I'll tell. I was in we used to call them the rags. I was in one of the rags, a story that was completely untrue, but it was fabricated that this was happening and this was happening, and the details aren't such. And I had the great joy or privilege to interview a major player in this. I don't want to say names, so I don't want to get sued. A major player, because I did a talk show from Chicago, and I asked him, why did, like, I could prove each one of those things in the paper that was not true. And he said, and how do you get away with this and don't get sued all the time? He said, well, we do get sued. But the truth is, we don't say that it's true. We say that it's true that someone told us this. So that's why you see an insider says, someone close to the star says, someone close to the production says, we just say that it's true that someone told us this thing. And I later found out that that's how there are people who get paid. Like, just do me a favor, just say this. Tell me this is what you saw on set. Great, read that. Great, you told me that? Great, it's been told, now we can print it. So it is really, it is quite an industry.
You gonna talk about
and I was
shady.
like, that could have ruined my life because that thing that you printed was not true. So, but someone told us that it was. I was like, oh, wow.
So it's hard to, and you
It's-
can't be vindicated because unless you
no.
start to engage.
Right.
Was there ever a way that you thought that you could refute it?
I thought I could, but there's nothing I could do other than say, this is not true. And then it goes away.
Well, they
Yeah,
say
it goes
all press is good press, but just to let you know, I have a different take about gossip because I saw for years, and I used to notice that it was very hard to get into those magazines. And then I thought, well, maybe it's good we're left out of, especially for Black people, Black, artists, Black actors. They're not, they're not spreading our business, and it's not there. There were other places that could, but why not in the big pages? Unless you were, say, as popular, as famous as Halle Berry. But that's a problem. Because if the paparazzi are not at your door, if you're not included in those types of, information exchanges, that means you're not valuable. And so I think that it's also
they don't
a
think that you're valuable.
signifier of importance when
so-
those people show up at your door and take pictures, and then those photographers can sell those pictures. If they can't sell them, they're not going to take a picture of you.
So it's
if
a
no one's-
catch-22 then.
Ooh,
It's a
a
catch-22.
catch-22. Yeah.
So
And
you don't want to be in them, and then we also know there's plenty of folks who pay to be seen, pay to get in.
There's no doubt. There's
Yeah.
no doubt. It's all sorts of manipulation, certainly in the radio. We call it pay to play.
Mhm.
You give the person the money, and then they'll play that record. But in a way, you kind of need to plant these stories in these magazines. So then suddenly people think, oh, they're of importance. I need to get them on my interview show. And so it is a catch-22. And I think that rap certainly changed it. It became a force that you had to deal with. They were so huge. And there was so much going on, good, bad, and ugly, that people started to report. The Source magazine, remember that? Vibe, but still we were outside of the mainstream gossip.
Yeah, we
land.
created our own cottage industry around that so that we could have it for ourselves. I think some
Yeah.
of it's good, and I think a lot of it is not so good.
Well, yeah, because you're promoting it, you say, brand awareness.
And, there's that famous phrase, it's I don't care what they say about me as long as they spell my name right.
That's
and it's
true.
like, oh, wow. And that speaks to your, the idea that now I'm valid or validated, or now they think I'm important. So it's an interesting relationship that we have with this quote unquote gossip world.
It's crazy. Well, this is juicy.
It's real
Come on,
juicy.
let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. How?
In the reverb. Kim, I do everything out of my car. I do everything. It's my office, it's my studio, it's my nap pod.
And shockingly, not where we're recording this podcast.
Don't spoil season 2. Oh, but seriously, I take my calls, I write scripts, I do table reads, all from the car.
I know. I do the same thing. My car is like my home, just with better acoustics and less judgment. I don't sing.
I do. And that's why your car can't just be functional. It has to fit your whole vibe.
That's right. And Lexus understood the assignment. I mean, I'm talking about the LX. Ooh, luxury to the max. There's pour wood trim, massaging seats, and wait a minute, retractable ottoman.
Come on. A whole ottoman, y'all. Come on. Plus it's hybrid, so it's smart, sustainable, and the storage. Chef's kiss. I even have a table for writing.
And it's a rolling sanctuary that helps you move through life with excellence.
And Lexus has always been excellent, even back in the 90s, just like us.
Because that's the standard of amazing.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. You ever notice how the days get shorter this time of the year? The sun clocks out early and suddenly everything feels a little heavier. But short days don't have to mean dark moods. This season, reach out. Text a friend, call your auntie, check on that cousin who's fine but never calls back. Connection is real medicine, and the same courage it takes to check in on your people, that's the same courage it takes to check in on yourself. Therapy can be a game changer, and with BetterHelp, it's easier than ever. It's entirely online. No waiting rooms, no awkward parking lots. Just a quick questionnaire, and you get matched with a licensed therapist that fits you. Not the vibe? You can switch anytime, no guilt. Over 30,000 therapists and 5 million people helped. You are not alone, and you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. This month, don't wait to reach out. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/reliving. That's BETTERHELP.com/RELIVING. You know, when you go on a really good first date, they listen, they show up on time, they make you feel safe. Finding a doctor with ZocDoc is kind of like that. They plan around your schedule, actually listen to what you have to say, make you feel like you're in good hands, and yes, they even take your insurance. Wait, are we still talking about dates? Lately, the wellness world's been making us all feel like we're not doing enough. Not drinking enough water, not doing the 12-step skincare routine, not eating the right vegan, gluten-free, paleo, kale, chia situation. But what we should be doing is seeing a real doctor, one who can help us figure out what actually works for us. That's why I love ZocDoc. It's a free app and website that makes it so easy to find a top-rated, in-network doctor and instantly book an appointment online. You can filter for everything: insurance, location, language, even who's available this week. Appointments happen fast, too, usually 24 to 72 hours, sometimes even the same day. So if you've been putting off that annual checkup, that dentist visit, or that Google diagnosed rash, don't act like you haven't done it. You can literally book it before this ad ends. If I need a doctor, I'd use ZocDoc. So stop putting it off and go to ZocDoc.com/single to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/single. ZocDoc.com/single.
All right, y'all. Welcome to the Reverb, brought to you by Lexus. Y'all know this is where we reflect and connect and talk about how the episode's themes still echo in the culture. Because just like our stories, Lexus keeps raising the bar. That's the standard of amazing. Since we're talking about buzz and gossip, well, we had to bring in an expert, someone who knows how to spill it, how to stir it, and how to serve it hot. He's a friend of the show, literally. And if you're a real fan, you might even remember that he popped in an episode of Living Single.
That's right, Kim. Let us give y'all a little tea on Mr. Lee. He is the founder of Hollywood Unlocked, a host, media mogul, reality TV star, and the current vice mayor of Stockton, California. He's so locked in, rumor has it he once cozied up with the ghost of Marilyn Monroe and went toe-to-toe with The Rock and won. And won.
Allegedly. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Lee! And the crowd goes wild.
So crazy to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you.
This is like real full circle. All of this came about because of you getting me on the show as, you know, an extra. My first job ever.
I told you it's a SAG Card Express.
So you had met Dana in Stockton.
Yes.
And something about you all developed a friendship, or there was something about her that she was just like, I just like this kid, and something about her that you thought that you could reach out to her.
When I met her, we were just kind of, chopping it up. And this was young Dana, UNITY.
Yeah.
You know, somebody had called her a beast. She was still mad in the song, you know.
Right.
And so in meeting her, we were just talking, and I saw how real she was.
Yeah.
And I was in an environment where everybody was dying, selling drugs, doing drugs, or losing things. And I had just come home from foster care. And so I said, I liked her. So I said, give me your number. I'm gonna keep in touch. And she said no. And I just thought, well, because you the queen, I can't get your number. And we started going back and forth. And she said, this young boy is crazy.
Yeah.
And when she drove away, she just said, if it's meant to be, you'll find me. So, 3 days later, I was in the hospital. I got shot. I had time on my hands. So I started calling her.
Now, that's why I want to go back. It's literally, you said you got shot. Of course, you said you came from foster care. There were all these things. I just got to back up.
Yeah.
How'd you get shot? I know you say foster care. Please, just give us a little.
Yeah, no, for sure. Stockton is a pretty rough community. And even today, it still has its challenges, like a lot of communities around the country. But my mother was a single mother. She was doing the best that she could. My father was already in a marriage with his wife. And so she was trying to figure out how to raise these kids, fell into drugs. This was when cocaine and heroin was, really just becoming a big thing in our communities. And so she decided to allow me to go into foster care so I didn't have to go through that struggle with her.
Okay.
Wow.
So I at the time you don't understand it, but now I look back and I'm glad that she made sure I was good. But when I got out, I had this newfound freedom. So I was in the streets and I was on the South Side where I now represent in my community.
Wow.
So I was running these streets and I went to the fairgrounds, which is in my community. And Dana was one of the performers there. And I liked her. I was able to get backstage and meet her, and we spent the whole afternoon together. And at the end, I wanted to stay in touch because where I was growing up, I didn't have a relationship like that. My mother was a recovering addict. My family was in the streets heavy, and there wasn't really role models that I had. And I looked at her, and I had always been in love with the entertainment culture, celebrity culture. I thought, let me be a friend. And when I asked her for a number, she said no. I said, how dare you?
He doesn't like no.
That was the beginning of being told no, but that gave me a challenge because I really did want to connect to her because of how pure she was and how nice she was. And she was just cool. So she told me if I was up for the challenge to figure it out. And
Come find you.
But I love that. And what's beautiful about Dana is now we enter and I would see you on the set, your eyes big, and you were very quiet. You just paid attention to everything and you took it and you were so kind, you were so sweet. But Dana gave you that challenge because it was meant for you to do so. Because if she really didn't want you in her life, she never would have let you in. And so there was something about you that she probably loved. That you're pure. You probably reminded her of people she knew back home because that was just like, hey, I want to be your friend. And it was just real. And I think Dana at the time was navigating Hollywood and, how fake it can be. And there was something pure and innocent and just, I want to be your friend that she recognized in you.
Well, Jason has at least is exhibiting right at that moment what people call moxie. Yo, kid, you got moxie.
Moxie.
And Dana would love, let's say
absolutely.
Latifah loves people
You'll
who have
find me.
moxie. Somebody who's like, okay, here he is.
But the bigger thing, and this is where I say this is all full circle, even being here with you two, because when I wrote the book, God Must Have Forgotten About Me, and everybody thought it was, this Serena Williams. You thought it was that I didn't love God. No, I mean, that's my friend. But she thought the title was kind of scary because she's like, what you mean you don't love God? No, I think we all go through life when we're going through things and be like, come on, God. Like, when you gonna let up? And then you look at other people who have dark spirits or who are not like fulfilling his word, and you like, how you get God, how they get it. So I was always going through life saying, God must have forgotten about me. And here's where I landed with you guys. And then here I come from Stockton, California, everybody getting shot, drugs, mom recovering, just everything in disarray. I come here the first time, and I put this in my book, that I had seen Black people loving on each other, positive, the energy on the set was just, at least front facing for the audience.
No, it was.
It was great.
Yeah.
But you two in particular, out of everybody, and I'm not saying this just because I'm here, I remember how nice both of you were to me. And I was a young kid coming out of chaos. Always polite, always embracing. I think one year I gave you a big teddy bear. I don't know if you remember that. This big white teddy bear at the rap party. Because it was in garbage bags. I remember having to pull that out. And then I remember just always feeling like, you guys were like big sisters to everybody on the set. And I just feel like, I don't think people really think about the impact that they're having on other people. Here I am, 48 now, 30 years later, 30-some years later. And still remembering that. So yeah, it's crazy.
You come from somewhere and you can tell a story.
Yeah.
That's different to say, I came up through the fire.
Mhm.
And so therefore I have empathy and I can see things in a way that is layered.
Mhm.
And that is different from somebody being an outsider judging.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because when people think I do gossip, I'm not gossiping. I'm literally just telling the truth as I see it. And the truth as I see it sometimes is painful for other people who display things they don't want people to see. The
Mm.
first time I met Rihanna, who had fallen in love with in terms of like her just representing everything that I want to represent and that I think our culture should represent, coming from a small town, growing up poor, fighting hard to pursue your dreams, becoming everything that you were destined and God wanted you to be, and then pouring back into the same culture and being such an example for people. The first night I met her, she said, the first thing I have to say is that I know it's hard with you doing what you do, being friends with people like me, but I have to tell you as a woman who's in the industry, I respect how you built your brand. And I just thought about the validation in that because there are so many narratives that have been built around how I do what I do. Because, you know, when people have fallen on the other side of my interest, I just tell them the hard truth.
You do.
But you know, I've learned over the years now the power of my platform that words do have power and that I do have a responsibility to make sure that it's well thought out and not just too reactionary. But yeah, I mean, I love the entertainment culture and I love what I do. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting journey.
How do you know where the line is? Is there I bet there are things that you know that you will never tell. And where does Jason draw that line?
You know, the line for me has always been don't attack children, like keep children off limits and don't out people. So those are just two of the things.
And those are the lines in your life too. Like if you can, let's just say people can be messy.
Yes.
In your own life.
Yes.
Where's your boundaries? Because I know this Jason is a Jason that we're seeing, but you also have a Jason that goes behind closed doors. Where's that line?
Well, that Jason is funny because I just had therapy today. That Jason doesn't get judged on the grace he gives. He only gets judged on what you see, right? And so there's a lot of things that you talk about, like, what don't you say? Like, private time is private time. When these cameras go off, whatever we talk about is private. I don't go out and share that. And I can spend time with everybody we've talked about today, and what we do or talk about or what I see is off limits because it's private time. And those people that are close to me know that. And then the Jason that is off camera, that doesn't get grace for the grace he gives, that found out all the things or knows all the things he knows, he doesn't get judged. So I have to be very solid in who I am because for me, it's not about what people think about me because, you know, we all gonna die and you gonna die thinking what you think. And it is what it is. You know, if you don't know me, then you don't get the benefit of having me in your life. And if I don't know you for whatever reason, I don't get that benefit, but it is what it is.
I've heard you say that you have very few real friends in this business. So I feel like you've created boundaries so that you only allow this number or this particular person to get in so that you can be able to still do your gig. And how does somebody get on the inside?
Yeah, it sounds like you're also isolating yourself too.
You find it out by being burned, right? Like I said this the other day at City Council. I said, you know I'm the vice mayor.
City Council.
I know I'm the vice mayor. Come on now. Yes, I remember. I get it.
Yes, I get it. I'm the vice mayor of the 11th largest city in the state. Yes, I am all those.
That's extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
To go from running the streets to running your city, right? Like I get that. But
why not you?
But when
I
walk around, I in my mind, I'm just Jason. Like even today, walking in here, y'all playing around, like I'm here with you guys. If you read my book and you know all my fans know my story, like it starts with the day in the journey. It starts with all of that. Anyway, and I'm not going to be messy today. I'm going to choose to be not messy, but I will say there's a singer who I befriended who I thought was my friend for me. And then that person I started paying attention to little signs where the conversations went from, you know, therapy, empowerment, fixing our lives, you know, all these things to like spilling the tea. And I don't gossip about celebrity in my real life because I don't care. I don't even know what people are doing half the time because I'm too busy trying to build a city. But the person would just drop little things. And then it was like, I was seeing that they were doing it for me they were talking to Hollywood Unlocked. They weren't talking to Jason.
Yeah.
So once I realized that, I just, you know, I went out there and I put out some of the stuff that they told me. So you were telling me clearly because you wanted it out there, but you wanted me to be the gun that
the conduit.
Yeah.
So I conduited it right out there and I put the name.
I can't do it.
I can't do it.
I can't do it.
Conduit. and I did it. And I did the Lord's work, and the Lord removed that person from my life. But what I'm learning in establishing boundaries is that I know who I am. And when I see people like Rihanna or Dana, who are icons in their own right, but I see them as them, we don't see each other as all the other things. Then I'm like, okay, I can trust these people. I can be me.
And they can trust you.
And they can trust me 1,000%.
Balancing being an entrepreneur, leading this huge media company, but you can also, slings and arrows, they hurt. You may not know if you're abusing that power. How do you balance that? What keeps you grounded? And you said partly because of how your story, where you come from.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean, there was one time where, I try not to regret anything, and I don't have many regrets, but there was a time where on one of my shows, I said something. I was on The Breakfast Club one day, and I was being asked something, and I was one of the co-hosts, and, it's live. You're just saying what you think and whatever. And I said in that, at the intro to a topic that had nothing to do with anything, I just said, Jennifer Hudson is illiterate. And I don't know why anybody would talk to her. And I went on to criticize her show. In the moment, that was old Jason saying some reckless thing that I can criticize someone's work product without being mean. I didn't even think about she's lost her family. She's been through what I've been through. Ooh. She doesn't hurt nobody. She's the epitome of excellence. She's won every award that has acknowledged her effort and her contribution. She ain't even respond to me. That's the grace. And that's just, it was bad. It was mean. It was unnecessary. And I wanted to apologize, but then I also felt the ego, right? Like, time will pass. And when I saw everybody's reaction, I was like, they're right. They're right. And so I did go and apologize. I'm back on The Breakfast Club, the same platform that I did that on, and I apologized to her. And I saw she followed me, and I sent her a message. We haven't talked yet. And I ran into her at Kamala's house when she was vice president. And, we didn't say nothing to each other, but we right here. And I wanted to apologize. So at some point, I do owe her an in-person apology, but I've publicly said it was reckless. And that wasn't even too long ago. That was just like, it came out, that old Jason came out. So yeah, I do realize that there's power that comes with this platform, and I'm not going to always be perfect.
Yeah, you say pain, not privilege.
But you also have to be able to own when you do something wrong. And I'd rather say it here with you all than say it on Piers Morgan show or somebody that doesn't look like us, that ain't gonna care and see any value in giving that apology. So yeah.
So we got a lot to cover, Jason. I mean, we really do. Let's talk about your time on set.
Yeah.
What happened on set for you?
Okay, well, look, it was almost a coming out. The thing is, Dana didn't know I was gay. Nobody knew I was gay. Hell, I don't even think I was gay.
I'm about to say, were you projecting that?
I think I had a girlfriend and a boyfriend at the time.
You didn't tell anybody.
Well, there you have it.
Okay, well, you were fluid.
And just so you know,
you were figuring it out.
I had figured it out. I liked everything at the time. But then I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. I love celebrity life. I love celebrity culture. But then you may not remember, but you told them to call me, and they called me. I did get my SAG card, one of my SAG credits, doing the Living Single show as an extra. And my fans have found it over the years. So I had a long ponytail, and I was a lot younger at the time. But yeah, I was in a scene with you and Kyle were at a date in a movie theater, and then I was on a date with some girl. That was acting. But anyway, that was my first little bite at the thing.
What did you see in him that you were like, you guys should call Jason to be in this scene?
So you should know this, and this is why I don't know how. It's because I came from Philly. And a lot of my friends came from Philly for the University of Arts, and they needed a way to get their SAG card. And when I was on The Cosby Show, people would, if you do background work, you can qualify and get levels and points to do it. And as an actor, as a Black young actor, there are very few places you can do that. And that was one of the places you could. So if you could put people down, you just wanted the stage manager, which would have been Maynard or one of those, to recognize that you give them the thumbs up, and then they would call them in and give them a way to make a little money and also get their SAG card so they could be on SAG
Get
Productions.
that little white sheet and
There you go.
And you were going to be there anyway because you were there with us.
He's there.
There in Dana's trailer anyway, so might as well
It's just
give
what
us-
you do for people.
Nice,
But
nice.
listen, y'all need to understand what happened that night. I don't know if you know. I know you don't know what happened that night because Dana, she gave me
What, were we
grace.
all drunk? It seems like we don't know anything that
You
happened
weren't
last
around
night.
to see this.
Oh, good.
So you get me in Living Single as an extra. I am a star. I'm on I'm on camera with the
On
biggest
TV?
stars. No,
I'm
Come
believing.
on.
what? This is
And
this,
and she's your friend?
no, with all of you. This
Okay.
Martin, Livingston, everybody in my hometown is gonna see me. So in my mind, I lost my damn mind. I thought I was a star on Living Single. So when we went to lunch, you know how we have where you go and you eat in
Like the little
in the
buffet.
cafeteria.
Right, right.
It's a little sort of
I
rude.
went in there, I was so rude, and I was treating the staff so bad. Dana, all I remember is Dana flying in that room and saying, "Come with me."
Oh.
And she drug me to her trailer and she checked me so hard about how we treat people with respect, how we don't disrespect the people who are supporting the show, our behavior on set, no matter what's going on. And she made me eat in her trailer, which was not a bad consequence.
No.
Because all the other extras that
But
were
that's
beneath
really
me
where you wanted to
were
be.
left in the
Exactly.
cafeteria.
He's a Leo.
He's such a Leo.
Got to be
we
a
love
Leo.
it.
So
we
while
love
I acted like I was heartbroken by the reprimand, I was really like, I am where I deserve to be. Thank you. But it taught me, like, no matter how big of a star you are, no matter
kind.
what environment you in, be kind and be nice to people. And that I've carried that lesson along the way.
Has that opened other doors for you? That having that
Skill
piece,
set.
that skill
Well, he's
set.
a shapeshifter. Let's be clear.
You can code switch without switching up.
Okay, doke.
And I've learned how to code switch.
Okay.
Today I'm on my best behavior because I'm around people that I respect. Now, if I was over at somewhere else, I could roll up my sleeves and get a little dirty.
Matter of respect for you.
Mhm.
Respect somebody that there's a certain kind of force field
Yeah.
that you're not out to. Now, listen, doesn't mean that you won't tell something that you may know about us eventually, but it wouldn't be to harm us or anything. It wouldn't be that.
was-
And I don't think it ever is. And that's what I want to know about.
Yeah.
What is gossip?
Yeah,
What
I think
is that?
gossip is when you hear some. I'll give you an example. So early on in Hollywood Unlocked and trying to figure it out, the whole idea of it was going back to my roots of when I was on Living Single, stripping back that veil and letting you see your favorite celebrity, but also giving them a trusted platform to clear the air when things were written about them that weren't true.
Important.
Because you saw the TMZs creating headlines that could destroy careers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where would our people go when they need to clear the air? That was the intent. But then when I got in the game, nobody really gravitated towards that because I think all of us were put in that bucket of the people who were just out to destroy us. So paparazzi, celebrity news sites stay away, the Perez Hilton culture at the time. And I remember Dana calling me one day and saying, I just ran into Perez Hilton in New York. And this was right when I started. She said, I really feel like you could be like Perez Hilton and TMZ, but with a heart. And that was the driving force for what I wanted to do.
Wow.
But when I got into it and people were just shady or mean or judging or would attack me, I was like, okay, y'all got the right one. Cause now I developed this character who they know as Jason Lee, who would just get on a mic and just say whatever he thought, pop off. But it was like continuous pop off. There was no room to breathe. And I think that's where people were like, oh my God, I'm terrified.
But you were still learning.
I was still learning. And now I've learned, I've done all the shows. I've done all the interviews. I've gone around and I've absorbed how people are doing their thing. And I've watched the impact that our platforms have on the culture and have on people being able to survive in this cancel culture world that we're in. And I'm like, yo, we gotta evolve past that. So I created the Hollywood Unlocked Impact Awards where y'all need to come. I need to make sure
I'd like an invite.
we'll
I'm there.
come.
Oh, we're
Absolutely.
there. Yes.
to honor us. And now I'm getting into other parts of the industry that I'm excited about.
But is gossip, I have to ask this, is it a covert way of telling the truth? Is it truth telling in a covert way?
If you're making up the stories, then it's not. But I mean, if it's all rooted in fact, then it's news. And I think that when you are a Black owned or Black targeted Black owned, and there's a difference in that platform, you're automatically labeled gossip. Whereas we compete. If people in our culture don't know what's going on CNN because they're not watching it, they're going to Hollywood Unlocked, Shade Room, Ball Alert, those platforms. Now we're not watching news and waiting for a journalist to figure it out. We're going straight to podcasts or we're going straight to live streaming, and things are changing rapidly. And people who are stuck in that dinosaur age of how they digest news, they're missing the moment because it is moving. And I think gossip is when you just create a rumor for clicks, or you create scenarios that may allegedly happen for clicks, versus getting the facts or getting the tea, which for me is truth, trust, transparency, and you put it out there for people.
Well, listen,
What are all the T's? What are all the T's? I need to hear the T's again. You
Truth,
did that.
trust, transparency.
And so you vet your stories. You vet the truth. You
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure that you've got everything lined up so that
Yeah.
So that
I mean, like the first big story we had at Hollywood Unlocked that kind of just broke everything out was when, the whole Tristan Thompson, Khloe Kardashian story, where they were like, he's cheating on Khloe with her sister's best friend that lives in her sister's home. That sounded like the craziest story, but my writer happened to be in the room when it was all happening. So it was like, oh, okay. But I did what most people would not do. I called Khloe first and said,
Okay.
hey, this is what we got. This is what happened. This is all the information. I gave her a chance to vet it out. And she called me back and said, run it. I said, okay, cool. So we ran it. I think my legacy is going to be that I did it all on my own terms. Like, right, I came from nothing. I built my way out of it. And I'm now trying to give back to others.
And you are giving back to and you're showing us how to do. You've become the ripple in the pond.
Yeah.
And I love that at least in real time, you seem to always be adjusting.
Oh yeah.
It just out of your mouth. But can I ask you, what's the most surreal thing
The most surreal thing
at this point?
The most surreal thing, two things. One, I keep following and unfollowing Erica, because I've been waiting on her to DM me. Like, I've been waiting on her because I've been trying to get to her for all this time.
That's
So
hilarious.
now I'm gonna follow both of you, put you in a group chat, and be talking shit behind your back. Behind your back. Behind your back.
Get the inside
in front of
scoop.
my back,
Here's the biggest surreal thing. Okay, so how did I meet y'all? Dana. Who did the song to the show Living Single?
Dana.
Okay. But who danced?
Big Les.
Big Les.
She's everything.
She's
Love
everything.
her.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We need to have her here.
Well,
too.
no, I brought her here with me.
What? No.
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding?
Yeah,
No. What do you
She's
mean?
what?
I didn't know what this was leading.
I know
didn't
this is
open the
crazy.
door.
Are you
Leslie
driving
is
me?
here. She's
What? People thought, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So delighted, so excited to have sitting at the table right here, right now, the one and only Big Les, and her name really is Leslie Segar, who you all know as the opening of our Living Single sequence. The
The
dance.
classic, the iconic opening, and that beautiful silhouette and dance, extravaganza is Les. Hi.
What a lovely treat to
Are
have
you
you
kidding?
here.
You look like first of all, you're a force of nature, literally.
Oh.
When you move, the world moves. And here you are. So it's really beautiful. Anyway, how are you?
Hi, girls. See y'all. They don't know that we've known each other for like 907 years, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew you back in New York I left in 1990, so it would have been late 80s, early 90s, and watching you do your thing. So let's talk about your origin story. Where are you from? What you do?
Queens girl, New York City, roller skating, handball chick, in the clubs, riding the train, concrete jungle girl. I'm a YMCA child, so I started gymnastics at the YMCA, lived my whole life there, and got a full scholarship to college, Division I and Division II. So I'm an NCAA child.
Gymnastics. So that back bend that we see, that's not dance, that's gymnastics.
Yeah. I started like in college and I was watching music videos and you would see like Janet Jackson and Jodie Watley and Paula Abdul. And I'd be like, oh my God, I can do that. I need to do that because you don't know what your life is going to be like. I knew I wasn't going to the Olympics, right? I'd just become very close to All-American. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? I got a 5-year scholarship to get my master's in 5 years in sports medicine or physical therapy. And I was like, I want to dance. Like my mother's looking at me crazy. You know how Black mother's like, you going where?
Exactly.
Out of what?
Please.
And so I literally, my very first audition in New York was an off-Broadway play, which happened to have myself, Wyclef, MC Light, and Lauryn Hill came on to a later production. So it was a Shakespeare's Twelfth Night remake done in hip hop.
Oh my God.
And Wyclef had written all the music and stuff like that to it. I was an actor and a dancer in it. So, and then in New York, you have these communities of all the dancers got together. So it was me, it was Flex, it was Elise Neal, it was Josie Harris, like it was Darren Henson, it was Jennifer Lopez, like all of us were broke backpack kids in New York City, just thirsty for music videos. I was a battle girl in the circle, battling, backflipping on people, and they'd be like, yeah, we want you in our video.
When music videos came out and then they realized how powerful they were, that was the currency. So to actually have such a huge part of that, what do you feel?
When you're in the trenches of auditioning and hustling and trying to go from job to job, you don't recognize what your role is. You just want to work. You just want to perform. That artist in you has to get out so you can feed your soul. It wasn't until years later, and not just people recognizing you, but saying thank you for representing or being a girl of your size. I felt it as a gymnast, being the tallest girl. I'm only, for people who don't know, I'm 5'6". Then I was probably 140 pounds, which is still large. Most gymnasts, like Simone Biles, are 4 feet, tall and 90 pounds. So for me to be able to do double backs and double twists and all these things and have large breasts and thick thighs, they're like, wait, what? So I've been doubted for so many years, but you don't realize that what you're doing is affecting people from your performance through the television. And it wasn't until later when people just started saying thank you or making me believe that I could be a dancer or that I didn't have to be a size 2 or that I could be brown. Because of course the 90s too came with we're only hiring mulatto girls or mixed girls. I need to be this big. And the difference between auditioning in New York and LA was night and day.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'd be in a room in LA, girls are in fishnets and heels and all these weaves. And I knew I could outdance them, but you were in a cattle call line. They'd be like, thank you, you stay, thank you. And I'd be like, but I didn't even get a check because I didn't look the part. So I went back to New York, this full circle moment just warms my heart. Oh God, I'm about to cry.
No, it's important.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
are a legacy. You are a legacy. You are You are big legacy. How about that?
You signal to the world what this show is going to be about. The minute they see you, they understand the power of not only in the presence of Black culture, and when I say culture, led by Black people, which is the most powerful culture in the world, but also Black women. And that cannot be denied. It is right in front of them. And then the rest is butter.
You were there and you're still here. And we're so grateful for you to come in and talk to us. And we get to just love on you and celebrate you and give you your flowers and all the things. And then you gave us flowers and all the things. Thank you, Big Les. Thank you for your excellence.
So proud of you, girl. It's so happy for you, girl.
Thank you.
And we all still look 25.
Some of us. Some of us. I'll take 35. I love you, Big.
Always.
Always.
Okay, it is True Blue time, Kim, where we answer a query from our friends. What is it? Go on, Amber.
If you had to choose 3 sitcoms with Black casts to do crossover episodes, which ones would you have chosen?
Yeah. So let's explain what a crossover is. A crossover episode is when you take a cast member from somewhere else, the character comes and goes into another show. We should have done it with Martin, with Tashina and Tisha.
Oh, we certainly. Now, we had Tommy on the show, but he wasn't playing his character from Martin.
That's right.
Right.
So it has to be that they'd be playing the character.
Yeah, that would have been
What
nice.
else could have happened? That would have been fun to bump into Will Smith somehow, like cross networks.
Yeah.
Especially with Latifah and the Fresh Prince, meaning the Khadijah character to meet the Fresh Prince.
Right.
That's kind of like a meta thing for 2 people who were hip-hop stars. Those characters to meet themselves would have been awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's our show. Wasn't that great?
Thank you, Jason Lee, for coming in.
Wonderful.
Come on.
And he's looking good.
Let's stay on his good side.
Let's.
Yeah, we already are. And appreciate that you drop in and, and give us all the tea.
Right.
But make sure you follow us on all our socials at Reliving Single Podcast and listen and watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to like and subscribe and tell all your friends. We're here. We're here forever.
Yes, and watch all the way through. Yeah.
Okay.
How about that? We'll see you next week.
We'll be here. Bye for now.
Maybe. Reliving Single is hosted by me, Erica Alexander.
And me, Kim Coles.
Reliving Single is a production of Heartbeat in association with Color Farm Media.
Executive produced by Kevin Hart, Jeff Clanagan, Eric Eddings, Leslie Guam, Erica Alexander, and Ben Arnand.
The show is produced by Kim Coles.
Amber Watson is our senior producer.
Our associate producer is Kenny Jackson.
Our other associate producer is Electra Telesford.
Our sound engineers are Eric Hicks and Cedric Wilson.
Production supervision by Razak Boykin and Brett Calkins.
Additional production support from Alex Atkins and Z Taylor.
Special thanks to BK Augustine and Dr. E.J. Johnson.